It's wild this holiday season how my social media feed is completely consumed with people celebrating the death of a rich guy who profited off people's suffering.
Welcome to My Wife Hates Musicals. The only way I could get my wife to watch Scrooge again. Hi everybody, I'm Austin.
And I'm Elle.
And you're listening to My Wife Hates Musicals. And today's one is both timely and fun. This is our Christmas episode. We're watching the 1970 film Scrooge, starring Albert Finney and Sir Alec Guinness.
Ooh, yeah. Happy holidays to all of you, by the way. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Yule.
Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Kiel
Yes. And to those who celebrate holidays that I don't know, I hope that you enjoy those too. So, and a happy new year.
So we really were planning on doing this one before all of the crazy news about, certain CEOs popped into the headlines. But I feel like this story of Charles Dickens's Christmas Carol
so appropriate
is very prescient.
Yeah, and it's so wild. Like, you've watched the musical and you think nobody would do this, and then people are literally doing it online.
Yeah, if they had the access to it, the Americans would absolutely be dancing on this man's coffin. And you know what? Say about that what you will. It is messed up. It is, like, I feel messed up that I feel this way, but like, we can't deny that, it's wild that our country has gotten to the point where, a man is shot dead in the middle of the street and people are like,
let's have a look-alike contest for his killer.
He's like, yeah, no, I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same thing, given a certain set of circumstances. It's a wild thing to me. But anyway, all that aside.
And this also is, our podcast does not condone the murder of people.
Absolutely not.
But our podcast also can't help but notice the karmic wheels turning.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, heart goes out to his kids. I'm sure that is terrible.
That is the one thing that's genuinely awful. Is there is a set of children without a father now.
But I mean, I'm really struggling to rub two fucks together. It's terrible, and I've had claims denied by United Healthcare this year that were very impactful from a financial standpoint, and I'm seeing all these horror stories about people suffering because of it, and people not getting cancer treatments. Like on my Facebook page, somebody that I went to high school with posted about how they were in a claims department where they had to deny claims, and they had to tell a woman who had cancer that they weren't going to be able to cover her treatment, and how they were in therapy for her reaction. It's the election divided us, but then everybody is reacting the same way to this.
Right. And I'm sure we'll get into this more as we get into the episode, but all of that to say, the 1970 version of Scrooge with Albert Finney and Sir Alec Guinness, this one is important to me, not for political reasons. But
actually, not at all. No.
This is a movie that my family and I would watch every single year. Every year we would watch Scrooge, and it became very much a tradition. This and It's a Wonderful Life were the most important Christmas movies to us. And I was lucky enough later on in life to be in the stage version of this twice as arguably the two coolest characters in the entire musical.
Yeah. And
not only that, but the first time that I was in it, I got to be in it with my dad, who played Jacob Marley. And it was one of the seminal experiences of my life. We'll be posting a couple of pictures from that of me in costume, me with my dad.
Well, I mean, at this point, they probably would have already seen them.
So, yeah. So look for those on the Facebook and the Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this one's awesome. It can be a little stilted at times. It's very British. So this is the first time that I feel like we've really taken a departure from the American musicals, and this is very much
except for Wicked, but that was
that's a little
an experience.
Yeah.
The zeitgeist.
This is very much a British movie made by British people. And it's
so drab to look upon.
Yeah, the color palette is very Dickensian.
It's so
like I feel like it's appropriate, but it's also like very much 70s drab.
Yeah, they're like, oh, screw this 60s. What was all this color and Flower Child and stuff? Like,
yeah, that's what happens when you go from from LSD to heroin. But
the funny thing is too, I didn't really watch this musical until I hooked up with you and was kind of inundated with your Christmas traditions with your family, but I am familiar with the story of A Christmas Carol because there's so many different adaptations that in my household growing up, we just watched a different version. We watched the Bill Murray Scrooge adaptation of it. So I feel like there's so many different versions of the core plot of this movie that everybody has seen some version of it.
Yeah, this is one of the few things in all of English speaking society that I feel like has become, like in all of Western quote unquote society, has become completely and totally ubiquitous.
And it's so fascinating because the story, The Christmas Carol itself, as written by Charles Dickens, it's very much a chicken and egg situation, right? Because at the time that he wrote this, the British were re-examining their relationship with Christmas traditions, right? So they were like, which ones are we going to keep and which ones do we want to have in the future? Like sending out Christmas cards, bringing a Christmas tree in. And by writing this book and popularizing this story at the level at which it became popular in his lifetime, he created and popularized Christmas traditions.
Yeah.
So in this story, talking about how, Scrooge doesn't uphold these Christmas traditions, it's kind of like, which came first,
Yeah, well, not so much the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree didn't really become a tradition in America until much, much later.
Oh, we're talking about Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about Britain.
Well, also in Britain, because the Christmas tree is a uniquely German phenomenon.
Yeah, probably a holdover.
I believe it came in, I might have started coming in, it did start coming in Victorian times.
Yeah.
Because Prince Albert wanted a Christmas tree because he was German.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize that. Yeah. But I just find that so fascinating that, he kind of created these traditions that are all the ubiquitous traditions now in Western English-speaking culture.
Very much so.
And at the time, the story was a re-examining of it. Well, and what are they going to move forward with as we go into the modern age?
Well, and Dickens wasn't always, filthy stinking rich. He went through poor times in his life, and a lot of the way he supported himself through that poverty was by literally going and giving live readings of the Christmas story at Christmas.
Yeah, and it didn't sell well at first, but him going and doing live readings of the book is what made it take off. And that
it's kind of the It's a Wonderful Life phenomenon.
Yeah, and also too
It's a Wonderful Life is also very much an offshoot of the Christmas story type of thing.
Yeah, you're right. And something that became popular because of syndication.
Yeah,
and wasn't initially super popular, but with The Christmas Carol, it's crazy because it's like he's writing a holiday story, but it's also giving the jungle at the same time. Because Charles Dickens was an advocate
very much so.
Yeah, he was very much against what the industrialization of Britain was doing to its people.
Well, and if you look at things like A Tale of Two Cities and Oliver Twist and Great Expectations and all of these classic stories by Charles Dickens, they're all extremely socially conscious. That's one of the reasons why his stories have had such a long reach and such a long, lifespan, is because they're very much examinations of social consciousness of a time. So they're great time capsules, and also time capsules that put forward ideas that are in general
universal
and seen as good throughout time, because he's always trying to work towards social progress and social justice.
Yeah, and
he's super woke.
Yeah, even still, and that's the thing that's crazy, and why it's so easy to connect with what we're seeing currently in the media and the response to this man's death is that it's been 200 years and it's still like this. It's just, instead of, being worried about, kids in factories, now we're worried about they're trying to roll back, child labor laws. And instead of working in a factory, you're going to work in a McDonald's.
So this episode, I feel like, can be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because,
it's the Christmas episode.
It's a Christmas Carol. You guys know A Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
3 ghosts. We're not spoiling anything for you here.
Hey, by the way, spoilers for a story that's almost 200 years old.
And one of the most popular Christmas stories ever written behind, the Bible.
Yeah.
In fact,
the OG Christmas
in
story.
fact, I'll go out on a limb and say this is the most popular Christmas story ever written.
Yeah, because
besides,
because it
again,
has
the
a
Bible.
very it's spiritual but has a secular feel to it. Like you don't necessarily have to be a Christian to appreciate a Christmas story.
Well, in the original,
and Christmas existed and predates Christianity.
In the original, Christian values are brought up a couple of times. Tiny Tim, I believe, in the original says when he comes back in from his singing for Christmas dinner, they talk about how he wanted people to see him begging at the church because it would remind him about how they worshipped a God who made lame men walk and the blind see.
Yeah. And I think that's important.
Really, there's not that much to do with like, your classic Christianity here.
Well, and it features characters that are Christian, but like the spirituality aspect of it, like the three ghosts.
It's kind of pagan.
It's very pagan feeling. There's 3 ghosts. There's no mention of hell expressly.
Not in the original. In this one, there is.
But in the original's telling of the story, he just sees his grave.
Right.
He doesn't go to hell or, get chased by little demons or meet Lucifer.
Although there is an argument to be made that the spirits, like Marley, who are doomed to wander this life, are experiencing purgatory.
But yeah, the movie. I made a note. I thought at the very beginning, there's this title art that recalls, like, it harkens back to, like, the original illustrations, I think, of the book.
A bit. With a little bit of and I don't know if you agreed with me completely when I said this, but if you look at these they're pen and watercolor.
Yeah.
And they kind of remind me.
They're really pretty illustrations.
To me, they remind me of Ralph Steadman's work in the Gonzo books, like Fear and Loathing in Las. Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It has kind of a similar look to that. They're a little chaotic, but I do like it.
I made a note of that because I thought the art there was really great, and I like that.
So it opens up with Elle's least favorite song in the musical.
I fucking hate this song.
And you don't.
It's so annoying.
And then Sing a Christmas Carol. Again, I've been in this twice, and this is like the big opening number. Everyone's on stage for it. Everyone's dressed up as classic
Dickensian
garb, and
it opens with these little shitty kids singing bad carols.
We're not done talking about the first number.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Please this number is sung with everybody on stage, and it's really cool. The only person that's not on stage is Marley, obviously, because Marley can't be on because of the makeup. But it's great. It's not really an overture. It's kind of like it was in Wicked, where there's like 3 lines of overture in there, and then it just goes straight into a number. But it does that, and that's just over title cards, like I said, with those watercolor drawings.
Fun side note: at this point in time, there was a resurgence when the original book was written, and interest in carols in general. So Christmas carols were one of those traditions that were becoming popular.
Right, and so like kids would go out and they would sing Christmas carols for money.
Yeah.
And that's the opening scene. Off the arrow angels sing, and Elle finds singing in a.
I'm not a huge fan of kids singing. There are some really talented kid singers out there, and I don't begrudge them that. But like, I prefer to hear mature voices personally. I say this, I'm probably gonna have kids, and I'm gonna have to get over my shit about it. But one thing I don't like is kids singing in shows. And 2 things. Number 2, I hate that governor accent, that fake Cockney bullshit accent. So little kids singing with the bullshit Cockney accent, it just like nails on a chalkboard to me. And I'm like, please. And then quickly someone pays the money and they're quiet. And that's what I would do. I would be like, here, let me buy your silent small child. Go harass someone else today. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
sorry if you sound like that in real life. I'm so sorry.
To be perfectly honest,
I'm sure someone hates my accent too.
Growing up listening to this, this is how I learned to do, like, this movie is where I learned my first British accents. When I was in the production, both times, I had to teach the kids how to talk in a Cockney accent, and I find it endearing. But that's just because I've done a lot of voice work, I find it fun. And I think if you can get to the point where you can sing in a different accent, then like you've really gotten that down into your bones. So I see it as a mark of accomplishment. L is just
I'm just a hater.
just kind of a Scrooge. So
yeah, that's appropriate. Yep, that's me. Tap dance away on my. That bitch hated musicals. Da, 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 da. Oh, I just made a note. This is like way later, but female ...
wait, what?
This is the conversation.
Oh, idiot loves sick female.
I just was like, God, he's like a Ferengi. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead though, but
yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to do
I know.
point for point on this. Again, this is
the kids
cool.
sing, and then
so and then they move into the scene. We meet we do finally meet Albert Finney's Scrooge, and it's interesting.
Tell us about it, Janet.
Albert Finney in this, and I didn't realize this for a while. I mean, it makes total sense now, knowing that I've seen him in other movies later. If you don't know who Albert Finney is, if you've ever seen the movie Big Fish, he's the person who plays Ewan McGregor later in life.
Yeah, I've seen it one time. High on pain medicine after a surgery. I don't remember the movie at all, but I think it was good.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's a really good movie. One of my, not your, quote unquote, not your typical Tim Burton movie. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Actually, not a schlocky, like a good one.
But anyway, knowing that this came out in 1970, he was only 33 when he played this part. He is probably one of the younger people to play Scrooge.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, if you had told me that, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, because he does a really, really great job of playing older. He was in that makeup chair for 3 hours every day. The aging makeup, especially for the 70s, is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they do a really great job with his crow's feet and everything like that.
And you had brought up something earlier about...
The physical choices that he makes to access the character are very impressive.
Yeah.
I think that Scrooge is obviously played in his body language, the way he carries himself, the way he holds himself, like... It's very obvious that that's how he accesses the character, and it looks really good.
Yeah, and that's a very British school.
I actually like that. Like when I perform an act, a lot of it for me is how do I physically access a character or an idea or a song.
Yeah.
So I relate. So I spotted it and went, wait a second, that was good. And
there's like, obviously you get into this scene and you get all the great one-liners. You meet his nephew. In the book, I don't know why they changed this. It's a kind of a weird choice, but in the book, his nephew's name is Fred.
Oh, that's right. And then he's Harry.
Yes, and in this, he's Harry. And
is he Fred in all the versions, or just this one? He's
he's Harry in this one.
No, but I mean, like, he's Fred in the other versions, right?
Yes.
Like in the Patrick Stewart one, he's Fred.
Yes, I believe he is in the Muppets as well.
Which, not gonna lie, my favorite version of the story is absolutely Muppet Christmas Carol.
I mean, there's an argument to be made that it's a very, very solid depiction of it.
Yeah.
There's the whole argument about Tim Curry versus
Michael Caine and how they interact with Muppets.
Yeah,
I'm gonna reserve my commentary because I'm really holding out hope that I will eventually get a proper Muppet Christmas Carol episode.
Okay.
So because I could talk about that for a while, but.
You meet Harry, you meet Bob Cratchit. Harry was played by Michael Medwin, who I had never heard of, and
now we've heard of him.
Yes, and it was Bob Cratchit was played by David Collings, again, who I had never heard of.
I think the Bob Cratchit actor is very good.
Yes, he's very, very endearing, and I really enjoyed his work.
Forgettable to me.
The funny thing about Harry in this is Finney was 33, Medwin was 45 when he did this. So
Harry does feel a bit old.
Yeah, the casting was a little strange there.
Because I guess in other versions of it, because I've seen other versions prior to this one.
This is not the last odd casting choice that they make in this movie.
Yeah, like I'm used to seeing Fred as a much younger, because to me, in my mind, Fred and his relationship with his wife are the mirror of what Scrooge missed out on. That Fred chooses to be with the woman that he loves, whereas Scrooge lets his fiance go. So when I see it, because there's so many mirrors in the storytelling, that to me, Fred needs to be younger to represent Scrooge's younger self. But because Fred's not that, or Harry in the story isn't that young, I feel like they missed an opportunity there. So that's just a thought. He's not a bad actor by any stretch. He does the scene well. I do feel like the scene kind of, I feel like there might be a little bit of a pacing issue. Like, I wish it moved a little faster.
No, I disagree. I think it moves just fine.
Yeah, it just feels a little for me, but it's not like a bad scene. I don't know. I did make a note that I felt like it was a little slow feeling.
One of my personal favorite quotes in this is, "What is Christmas but a day where you find yourself a year older and not a day richer."
Oh yeah, that's
and he says that when he doesn't want to pay Cratchit for his day of vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And back in Dickensian England, you really only got like
one day or 2 days off a year.
Like a couple of paid days off a year.
Yeah.
And I think I've always thought that Scrooge was supposed to be Scottish. Yeah, and he's
although that is kind of being a little stereotypical.
His name is Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, I know, but it is a little, stereotypical.
I think he was written to be Scottish.
Yeah, I know, but it's also stereotypical to Scottish people.
Well, yeah. That's okay. It's not okay. It's not great.
Okay.
It's not great, but also...
I mean, he does turn around in the end. I did make a note here, and I apologize in advance. It's a segue. But I wrote down one of Scrooge's lines here because he talks about pleasure and squandering money, and that's all that Harry is interested in. And Scrooge, as you watch these beginning scenes unfold, lives kind of a miserable life. But
a miserly life.
He lives a miserly life because he chooses not to take advantage of any of the money that he has squirreled away. Yeah. He's cosplaying poverty. He's holding on so tightly to his money that he isn't even enjoying it anymore or getting the value out of it. And it just kind of reminded me of, like, I had watched something completely independent. It was talking about Elon Musk. I know. Elon Musk and Grimes, and how they were in a relationship, and she was complaining about the fact that Elon Musk tried to live so far below his means on a day-to-day basis. He chose to not spend a ton of money. He wanted to live in like an inexpensive house, and apparently she ate peanut butter all the time or some shit. And how it made her unrelatable or something. And it just kind of reminded me of that like, these people have more money than fucking God, and they choose to live below their means, and just hold on to it? Like, you could be doing something with that. Yeah, you
can't take it with you.
At least, like, I feel like it would even be better if Scrooge, like, lived in a lap of luxury or something, because then at least you could understand, like, oh yeah, like, he sold his soul, but at least he has comfort. But no, he sold his soul, and he lives a miserable, miserly existence because he won't even spend the money on himself.
And you've got to look at...
I just thought that was an interesting
concept.
To
me, it's all about the story of how Scrooge got to the position where he is now.
Yeah.
And we do go and we learn that.
Yeah.
This is also the scene where you get any idiot that goes around with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Oh, that's a very good line. And I just can't, it's still hard to believe that they boiled breads back then.
Yeah. Oh, is it bread?
Yeah.
I've never had British pudding.
Like when they say like boiled, when they like refer to like boiled puddings, what they would do is they would put like a dough in a bag, like almost like a cheesecloth kind of cloth, and they would tie it off and they would boil it. But
what is it with the British people and boiling things?
I don't know. Really,
boiled potatoes, boiled sausage. Like, don't they know that boiling?
Proud to be an American for that one, honestly.
Yeah, like honestly, like boiling is like the least flavorful way that you can prepare a thing.
Yeah,
that's
like,
British food for you.
Yeah, but
no offense to my British listeners.
Yeah, we all have our hangups. Not everything's perfect.
So now we go into
Texans want to barbecue.
So they do finally pay. Obviously, they do finally pay Cratchit, and we go into the next number.
15 shillings.
Yes, 15 shillings.
15 shillings in my pocket.
That means we're gonna have a gooder Christmas than the Lord Mayor of London himself. So we go into Christmas Children, which is when we meet Tiny Tim and his sister, and they talk about their toys and shit like that. And this is a lovely. It's a cute little scene. Yeah, where they're going around.
His interaction with the kids is just so, like, he does such a great job of conveying genuine affection for these children that probably aren't his in real life, I'm assuming. But the actor does such a great job here.
So there's an interesting contrast there's an interesting visual contrast here.
Okay.
Between Bob Cratchit and Ebenezer Scrooge. The big thing that you'll notice, that the most noticeable item of clothing that Bob Cratchit is wearing...
It's a scarf, right?
...is a big blue scarf.
It's a blue scarf. Okay. I don't remember what color it was. I just remember it was a scarf. Isn't Ebenezer wearing a red scarf?
It's Ebenezer wears a bright red scarf. So it's like it's giving major contrast between the.
And also, there's not a ton of color in the palette in general, so you notice these scarves more.
Yeah, because it's a very drab palette. So what color choices they do make are very firm choices, and I find that really funny. So the main, I feel like the main purpose of this number is to establish Bob Cratchit's relationship with his children.
Yeah.
And B, serve as a contrasting piece to the next number.
Yeah. Well, what's the next one called?
I Hate People.
Oh my God, this song's a banger. Like,
yeah,
it's a good song.
The next song is easily the second best song in the musical.
Yeah. Also, Albert Finney is not a great singer.
No,
he's a great actor. He sings most of the music.
And that's fine. And the musical was designed...
For the most part, I'm not finding myself wanting for a big voice except for one number we get to later where I wish he could actually sing for it.
And so
because I've heard someone sing it. It was very good.
The music and lyric for this show were written by a man named Leslie Brickus, who was a beloved author of musical theater, died just a couple years ago. Actually, he died the year of the second time that I was in Scrooge.
Aww.
But the interesting thing about Brickus is that he could not read music.
Wow.
Yes, so he did the Michael Jackson thing.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Where he dictated the music and the lyrics to the music supervisor, and the music supervisor notated it.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah. And he did that.
I want to hear the recording of Brickus singing everything.
Yeah. So he did that for all of his different musicals, which I did not look up because I suck. Also, my life has been just abject chaos recently.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Mine's way beyond seasonal.
Oh, I know. Oh, he looks so jolly.
Are you looking up a picture of Brickus?
Yeah. Sorry.
We'll put up a picture of it on the Facebook for you.
I need to make a note to do that then. Leslie Brickus picture.
Christmas Children, like I said, it's a lovely scene.
Oh my God, he worked on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my God. James Bond film songs. Goldfinger, You Only Live Twice. Love theme from Superman with John Williams. Wow. Okay, sorry, I didn't realize.
I didn't realize that he wrote the themes that he wrote Goldfinger.
Yeah.
And did he write the whole show, Willy Wonka?
He wrote the music for the film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh my God, I want to do that one.
That one's coming soon, guys. I promise. That one is coming soon.
He did The Roar of the Grease Paint, The Smell of the Crowd.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, same. Oh, okay, fine. Oh, he did something with...
Oh, he did Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah, he did Dr. Dolittle too.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, starring Rex Harrison of My Fair Lady fame. He did Victor Victoria with Henry Mancini.
Oh, wow. Henry Mancini's really good.
And he worked with John Williams on Hook and Home Alone.
He was on Hook. Great. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know.
So jolly.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah, he's got quite a resume, and given that he doesn't read music, that's absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah, and like I said, Michael Jackson didn't read music either. All of that to say, so his lyricism is phenomenal. I love this man's lyricism, and the next number, I Hate People, is just the tippy super top.
I did try to make notes here when I noticed myself empathizing with Scrooge, because that's literally my job here on this podcast.
Because you hate people.
No. Okay, so the scene where he starts the I Hate People song is these two guys come to his door asking for money. Asking about his dead friend who's been dead 7 years. I would be so fucking annoyed if someone did that to me. If someone rolled into my house, didn't bother to find out that my friend's been dead for 7 fucking years and was like, hey, can I have some money? I'd be like, go fuck yourself. Like, even if it was a good cause at that point. Like, they really shot themselves in the foot. And I get that it's a storytelling device for us to talk about the death of Jacob Marley. But realistically speaking, I think his reaction...
Oh, it's more than that.
It's justified.
It's more than that. This is the most important... This is where some of the most...
not knowing he's dead.
This is where some of the most important lines in the musical are spoken, and lines that are called back to.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is them knocking on the door, like if they had knocked on the door and been like, oh, condolences or whatever because your partner died 7 years ago today, I think it might have been I mean, he still would have been a shit about it.
They didn't know.
Yeah, but like they didn't bother to take the time to find out that the guy was dead before calling.
Well, they were just going door to door.
Yeah, but they're like, hey. Well, and I think it still says Marley on the door. But,
yeah, the shop says Scrooge and Marley. Do we have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
That's true.
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. 7 years this very night he passed away. Sorry, I might have seen this musical a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, if somebody knocked on my door and was just like, hey, is your dead friend that's been gone for 7 years here? I'm going to ask for money. I'd be like...
Yeah, so, this scene is famous. This is a season when many people find themselves in want of
a
common
time when want
necessaries.
is keenly felt and abundance rejoices.
And Scrooge looks at them and says, "Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?" And it's like, "That they are, sir. I wish they were not." He said, "Good. I've been forced to support these institutions through taxations, and if people are badly off, then they should go there." Guy responds, "Many would rather die than go there." And then, of course, you get the most legendary line in the entire musical, except for maybe God Bless Us Everyone, is, if they are going to die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. That's like you can just go through and do drops of every actor who's ever played Scrooge and tell how good they are at playing Scrooge by how they read that line.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart's great.
He's a great Scrooge.
Yeah, if you haven't seen, it is a TNT TV movie of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol starring Patrick Stewart, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
I suppose that we should also say that there are at least two other musical versions of A Christmas Carol.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
One is The Muppet Christmas Carol, which absolutely counts as a fairly definitive version of Charles Dickens' work. The other one was a made-for-TV movie starring Kelsey Grammer, Jason Alexander, and Jesse L. Martin. And because I suffer from internalized misogyny, I do not remember any of the female actresses.
Well, honestly, in this movie, there's like one female part of note that's named. I guess the Ghost of Past.
3.
Yeah, but they're not. Ethel Cratchit's the only female character within the agency. Well, Scrooge's fiance too, out of the entire production.
Yeah, in other iterations of Scrooge, his sister has a bigger role.
Yeah, this is true. Technically, there was a sequel.
Was there?
Yeah. Spoilers for what? Scrooged? What was it called? It was the musical with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
and Will Ferrell. What the fuck?
What was that called?
I'm gonna look it up. Spirited.
And that was good.
Is expressly a sequel to The Christmas Carol.
And I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
I actually enjoyed that movie.
It was a very good movie.
It was pretty fucking good.
I was surprised at how much I enjoyed that movie.
I did not think I was going to like it, but...
By the way, you can probably pass on the Kelsey Grammer one. No offense to anybody that was involved in that production, but it wasn't that great.
Kelsey Grammer's not a good Scrooge, right?
He wasn't great. The casting was a bit odd. The lyrics were stilted. It was fine, which is a shame because it was written by Alan Menken, but we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah. Also, there is the Bill Murray version of Scrooge.
The Bill Murray version?
The Bill Murray version. It's like the next Wes Anderson film, the Bill Murray version.
The Bill Murray version.
There is the Bill Murray version of Scrooged, and it's not a musical.
No, but it's amazing.
But the funny thing is, it wasn't well received at the time, from what I understand. And Bill Murray and the director hated each other, and
a lot of people hate Bill Murray, though. No offense, Bill Murray.
Well, actually.
You didn't get along with Bill Murray you met Bill Murray.
Okay, I have actually met Bill Murray, and I met him for 30 seconds, and he was just kind of a dick, and he walked out of my store. I was like, wait, come back. But whatever,
How did we get onto this? I hate people.
We're talking about the different versions of Scrooge.
Okay.
It's okay. But yeah, I hate people.
So there are such fucking banger lines in this. So after he walks away from them, he's like, I hate people. People are just cretinous wretches, loathsome and despicable creatures. Oh, good for nothing, despicable creatures. Oh, man, he's just spitting bars.
There is one point, and I made a note of this, where he like leans over someone and like lovingly sings "I hate people" in their fucking ear. I was dying.
People are just cretinous wretches earning what their sweatiness fetches.
Good work, Leslie.
And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
like,
there are some really good lines like in the songs themselves. So
oh my god. Yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, he goes through and it's just again, it serves to contrast the Bob Cratchit's interaction with all these shopkeepers because you know, in the previous number, Bob Cratchit goes through and has all these lovely interactions with the shopkeepers, and they all love him, and a lot of them give him good prices because he's a good guy and he's in a bad
only
situation.
got 15 shillings to work with.
And he's got 5 kids, and like everybody's like, you know what? Here's a deal because we like you as a person, which happens to me a lot because I try and be a good person. Whereas Scrooge leverages all of these people's debts in order to get his shit.
Like dinner and a scarf and stuff.
Yeah. Wrap this up for me. Ah.
Oh, it's so shitty. And
like
then,
he goes into the fucking Punch and Judy puppet guy.
Oh, I know, while he's doing the show.
While he's performing.
Yeah.
And he's like, tomorrow will be £2.10 and I confiscate your puppets.
And it's like, Jesus, man, what are you gonna do with these puppets? Nothing. Ugh. God.
So we get to meet Tom Jenkins, the hot soup man.
Yes.
Which is the first time that we get to meet a character that I played.
Yes. So to answer that question of what part would you get cast as or want to play?
Yeah, Tom Jenkins. We haven't gotten to his big number, but his big number is the banger of the entire musical.
It is my favorite.
And I got I went into that audition the first time I auditioned for this show. I wanted that part, and I only wanted that part, and I got it, and I nailed it.
Yeah, very proud of you.
And it was so much fun. For reasons that we will get into in a little while.
Tom Jenkins and
we get to meet 2 of my favorite bit part actresses, who are the little Scottish ladies who sell clothes for children.
Yeah.
I love them, and I might just love them because they're so damn Scottish.
Well, and interesting, like they kind of take the place of like I guess the tailor in the original story where they sell that, like they have a scene in other versions of this story where Scrooge's belongings get sold off after he dies in the Christmas future or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But that isn't in this version.
Yeah, that isn't in this version.
But it seems like those 2 ladies kind of take the place.
At the Rag and Bone Shop.
Yeah, it seems like those 2 Scottish ladies almost serve that function, but they don't have that.
I don't think so.
Well, because that's when you probably would have met them initially, yeah?
No, I think these are all just shopkeepers that owe him money.
But they made me think of those people.
Yeah, and that is an interesting thing that they didn't take this. They substituted with a different scene.
They completely changed that part of the story, which I think that the other, well, we'll get there, but I think that the other telling of it makes more sense and his harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets home, and we will get into what happens next here in just a second after these messages. After these messages, we'll be right back. And we're back.
Fun fact. Okay, so we talked about Leslie, but we didn't talk about Ian Fraser, the composer that he worked with.
I've heard of Ian Fraser.
You have heard of Ian Fraser because he was a contributor to the David Bowie Bing Crosby Little Drummer Boy duet.
Don't you get started. I'm not losing that competition. I already got whammed. I'm not losing the LBD contest.
We're not going to sing it. I mean, like, I'm not going to play it. Talking about it doesn't lose you the contest.
I've heard of him somewhere else, though.
But yeah, he worked with Brooke Hughes and other stuff too. Huh. So, and Julie Andrews. He also Ian
Fraser. Where have I heard that name? I think
he won an Academy Award for his work on Scrooge. He also worked on Dr. Little, Babes in Toyland, Julie Andrews' Hour, Victor and Victoria, obviously. But yeah, I thought that was really fun that he did the. He was actually partially responsible. He helped write the Peace on Earth portion of the song.
Yeah, that I'm not gonna sing.
I thought you had to hear the version of it to get Little Drummer Boy. Okay, there's your fun fact. Also, other fun fact, Dickens called his sections staves.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he had the book broken up into 5 staves. I'm like, oh, kind of like 5 acts, I guess? I don't know. But
so now,
he heads
now
back.
No. Now you thought we might be able to get away from it, but now we are back to Cockney Orphans.
Oh, Father Christmas. Yeah, Father Christmas.
Father Christmas.
Okay.
Father Christmas.
This annoys me far
He's the
less.
meanest man in the old wild world. In the old wild world, you can tell it.
This annoys me way less than the Hark the Herald Angels sing at the beginning.
He's a miser.
He's a skinflint.
He's a skinflint.
Yeah. It's a good song. It's a good contrapunct.
But you're stocking out for your Christmas gift. And I'll steal it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no, more great just patter and lyricism from freaking Leslie Bricusse, and I love him. I love this guy.
Bricusse.
Whatever.
Leslie. We're gonna refer to him as Leslie.
Oh, Leslie.
Leslie. Fall Christmas.
Great non-gendered name, by the way,
Leslie's
Leslie.
a great name, yeah. Yeah, Father Christmas is a good number.
Yeah, and Father Christmas obviously is him. So after he's going through, collecting all of his money from these things, and
shaking people down.
Yeah, it struck me. I wonder if Scrooge could have been accused of usury, which is overcharging for debts. But I don't know if that was still considered a crime.
I was like, usury, is this one of those wicked words?
No, usury is usually.
Sorry.
Jumping into racist things. Usury was usually only leveled at Jewish people.
Okay.
So.
And on that note,
that's a thing. It was absolutely a tool used to accuse Jewish people of
controlling Hollywood.
Controlling the loaning industry, which was
Shylock.
not their fault because it was one of the only industries that they were allowed to work in. It was a super fucked up situation. But
yeah, okay. Well, now I know why I haven't heard that word.
Yeah. So Father Christmas is great, and it reintroduces us to that group of orphans, and also
they're like the Greek chorus
in a way,
like a shitty Greek chorus. Sorry,
British chorus, and it does get called back in the end of the musical as well, so that's fun. Father Christmas, it's not plot heavy at all. It's just a good fun. It just
establishes the general attitude of people to Scrooge's bullshit.
Yes, because everyone hates Scrooge.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. We can't do a Scrooge number without. Aha!
That's why I grabbed it.
Yes. Now I'm wearing the top hat that I wore throughout my adventures in both versions of Scrooge.
Yeah,
actually.
I tried wearing it.
It's really funny when Elle puts it on and goes down over their whole head, and it's absolutely adorable. And actually, this does happen. That exact thing happens in the number.
Oh, no shit.
The little redhead puts
that's
Scrooge's
right.
hat. They steal Scrooge's hat, and he puts it on, and it goes down over his head. Yeah, if you watch the movie, that's exactly what happens to Elle when she wears my top hat, because I have a massive head. So now we get into the meat of the Christmas Carol story.
Yes.
So
set up the scene.
So now Scrooge goes in, and you see, so he looks at his door knocker, and he sees Jacob Marley's face in the door knocker, and he's like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah.
And it just goes right in.
Yeah. And then this dude drives by on like a horse.
It's a hearse.
Oh, it's a hearse. Okay, it's like
hearse.
A horse-drawn hearse.
And that is actually in the book.
Is it hearse-drawn?
It's a horse-drawn hearse.
So it's not hearse-drawn?
No, that would be putting the cart before the horse. Don't do that on the table during a recording.
I'm sorry, it's a compulsion.
So that does actually appear in the book as well, and apparently, this is the only version of the Christmas Carol where it's shown correctly.
No shit, I didn't know that.
According to the Wikipedia or the IMDb trivia page.
I made a note here that I was surprised he didn't bitch at the ghosts for rent. Given what we've seen so far.
So, we get the classic, he goes down and eats his gruel that he, not blackmail, but...
Oh, the word was there until you started looking for it and left my head too.
Nope.
Oh, fuck.
Nope, it's gone. But anyway, that he squeezed out of Tom Jenkins' Hot Soup Man. No.
All right.
No, it's gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, he sits down and has this weak broth. Again, not spending any of his own money. His whole living situation looks like absolute shit.
Mm-hmm. He's huddled up against his little fire, his single little fire.
Cobwebs everywhere. Which, honestly, is also not accurate to the book, because in the book he does have a housekeeper.
Oh yeah, because the housekeeper sells his
He's one
shit.
of the people that's selling his shit.
Yeah.
But so the bells start going off, and he goes, ah, too many bells, and the door unlocks itself, and in walks Jacob Marley
Marley. Sorry.
As played by Sir Alec Guinness. Alec Guinness had a terrible time in this movie. He said it was one of the most miserable experiences that he ever had on a film set.
Oh, shit.
Well, because he didn't realize the amount of time commitment that was going to be required.
Because the makeup,
the
wires,
flying rig.
Yeah.
And the flying rig actually injured him. There is a long history of musical theater flying rigs injuring people. Like we said in the previous episode, Idina Menzel was injured by the flying rig in Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the flying rig gave Alec Guinness a double hernia that had to be corrected by surgery after the film. So that's not great, but this is a fun little meeting of the minds here, because here on screen, in one of the only times that you'll see them together on screen in cinema history, you have Alec Guinness and Albert Finney. And Alec Guinness and Albert Finney have both had the honor of Ewan McGregor playing younger versions of them in their movies. Because if you watch Big Fish, Albert Finney, the young version of him, is played by Ewan McGregor.
Oh my
If you watch Star Wars, the young version of Obi-Wan Kenobi is played by Ewan McGregor. So that's just a random fun fact.
Extortion?
Extortion is the word I was looking
there
for.
It is.
Yes,
okay,
thank you.
now I can rejoin the conversation because I've been trying to figure it out, and then I just had to look up synonyms for blackmail because it's really irking me.
Yeah, but that I thought that was a fun little fact about Albert Finney and Alec Guinness. So in the original book, not the book, in the original script, Jacob Marley has a big musical number. And that number was put back in for the stage musical. Oh, we didn't mention this, but the stage musical came after the movie. There's only one other one that we're planning on doing that is like that. We haven't published it yet, but the only other play that we've done that is like that is Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh yeah.
So Seven Brides for Seven Brothers existed as a movie musical before it existed as a stage musical. Yeah, that was a rough one. Yeah. I have no desire to watch Seven Brides again.
You should listen to us bitch about it when that episode comes out.
Oh, good lord. But that number was called Make the Most of This Life. I didn't care for that number in the stage show, but it is Jacob Marley's big opportunity to shine vocally. It was fun to do with my dad. When I did it the first time around, I got to play one of the ghosts that was wandering around clinking chains during this scene. And
Marley and Marley.
No, different song.
But arguably better song. Yeah.
It is inarguably a better song. But yeah, so the makeup in this scene when Marley, drags Scrooge out the window and they go flying around, and he explains how, he's stuck wandering around, witnessing all the things that he might help but can't help because he's dead now. The makeup done on the dead spirits is actually quite scary.
Oh yeah, they look pretty spooky.
They look very much like rotten corpses.
You forget it's a ghost story until you get into it. But it's absolutely a ghost story.
Yeah, you do absolutely see rotting corpses flying around through the air in this. And so keep that in mind for the kiddos. Oh,
great line. Mankind should be our business,
yes.
Ebenezer.
You were always a good man of business, Jacob. Mankind should be our business. Yeah, and how often we neglect it.
Yeah. Also too, interesting point. Like he has that weird chin strap situation, the way he has the scarf tied around his head because of how he passed, right?
Yeah. In the book, it is never mentioned directly how either Jacob Marley or Tiny Tim pass away. There are several ideas as for Tiny Tim, but for Jacob Marley, it's pretty widely understood that he died of a blood infection that sprang from a rotten tooth.
Yeah.
So obviously back in Dickensian England, or maybe not obviously, maybe you didn't know this, but antibiotics weren't discovered.
Antibiotics.
Antibiotics.
I'm so sorry. It was just really cute the way you said it.
Sorry, it was the British way of saying.
Antibiotics.
Antibiotics were not discovered until like right around World War One.
Yeah, penicillin was the first
Yeah.
antibiotic, yeah.
So they didn't have any way to really combat infections.
Yeah.
So even the simplest of infections could result in amputation or death.
Yep, to bring it back to, our modern times, dental care a lot of times is not covered by health insurance.
Your claim has been rejected.
Yeah. So, it's people still die of bloodborne infections from bad teeth here in the US now.
Yeah, other iterations show Jacob Marley untying the
I've seen one where the jaw pops down.
And the jaw pops down.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That springs from, I'm not sure if it's in the book or if it's just the illustration.
Oh yeah.
Because the original publication, it was serialized in a magazine, and it was accompanied by
illustrations.
Yeah, illustrations. So seeing like one of them did show Jacob Marley unhinging his jaw and going, oh,
because it's a horror story,
and then he has to like reset his jaw.
Ooh, it's a ghost story, yeah. So
yeah,
a little bit of body horror for you there.
So we get the whole speech from Alec Guinness. He does a great job. He's Alec Guinness. I don't think Alec Guinness has ever been in anything and been bad in it.
That you've seen, anyways.
Yeah, he's an Academy Award winner. He's a knight. Like, generally, if you're a knighted British actor, you're not going to be in a lot of shitty movies.
They go off, they fly around as ghosts, and then they get back, and Ebenezer thinks it's over, but then we get Jump Scare Marley, which I thought was pretty funny.
Jump Scare Marley is fun.
And I do love their interaction where Marley is telling Scrooge, okay, you're going to have 3 ghosts. One will show up at this hour, and one will show up the other. And then Scrooge's reaction
take them all at once and get it over with?
Quotes, I quoted this. I think I'd rather not. Couldn't I take them all at once and get it over with? And I was just like, why am I relating to this man so hard? Hates the little shitty singers, hates people, doesn't want to have to, rather just get it all over with. I'm like, I'm really relating to him so far. So after Marley leaves.
Marley says, you're going to be visited by 3 ghosts. First one at 1, then 2, then 3. And then he leaves.
Yeah.
He says, for pity's sakes, Marley, leave me be. And
it's for pity that I came.
It's for pity that I came. Pity for you. I leave you with one hope.
Scrooge tucks himself in with his emotional support money.
Yes. And he hides his other money underneath the chamber pot.
Yeah.
And in case you don't know what that is, when you see him hide his stuff underneath that pot, that is where you take a shit when you're in bed.
Yeah.
And then when you're done in the morning, you throw it out the window.
God, Dickensian in England must have stunk.
Yeah, it reeked. It was legendary for just being absolutely vile.
Yeah, anytime someone's like, I wish I could have been born in a different era, I'm like, do you realize how fucking smelly it would be?
Yeah, well, and that's where things like cholera kept popping up. Like, everybody could, like, you hear about cholera, it's because there was no sewage.
England, that's when I want to be born. I'm like,
absolutely not.
Before the advent of penicillin, good call.
No, when people only bathed, like, once a month.
Ugh. So he goes to sleep. And then he is visited by...
Then we're obviously, now we get into the Ghost of Christmas Past. So, the Christmas Past...
I like her. She's sassy.
It's weird casting.
It is a weird choice, because isn't traditionally his sister supposed to play this character?
No, not necessarily. In the stage show, yes.
Okay, so in the stage show, his sister plays the Ghost of Christmas Past, but he doesn't realize it's her.
Yes, it is played by his sister. However, in the book, it is supposed to be an ageless, sexless being of light who wears a candle snuffer as a cap.
See, I would want to play that character.
And I always thought that the best casting, and I'm being completely serious when I say this, I always thought that the best person to cast for the Ghost of Christmas Present would have been Michael Jackson. Because it's supposed to be this person where you can't tell how old they are. You can't tell what gender they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be very fey and very inhuman. And in this version, it's an old lady.
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton could do it.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton would be great casting.
In this, although she's tall for it.
Well, they put the Ghost of Christmas Present lifts. I mean,
Yeah.
And they made Sean Astin look 3 foot tall. So
I've seen it played by Joel Grey before. That was interesting. He's a famous gay British actor. He was one of the people who originated the role of, I believe he originated the role of the MC in Cabaret.
No shit. I'm gonna look him up.
Tony Award-winning actor. Yes,
That name does sound familiar. Maybe that's where I've heard it.
he's very famous.
Aww. He's alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
He looks so friendly.
Yeah. He's
Oh my god.
legendarily very nice.
Oh my god, his MC looked so cool.
Yes, I was right. He did originate the role of the MC,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
Anyway, we haven't done Cabaret yet. That'll be next season. So in this, the Ghost of Christmas Past is a woman. And she's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm here for your welfare. And his response is, well, getting visited by a ghost at midnight is hardly conducive to my welfare. Your redemption, then.
Oh, I know where you've heard of Joel Grey before. He played the wizard in Wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, please continue. So sorry. I was actively listening.
But yeah, so we go into Scrooge's past.
Yeah, I like the I don't know. I do wish it was more, close to the she doesn't feel spooky at all.
No.
She doesn't feel like a ghost. She just feels like an annoyed British woman.
Well, and the Ghost of Christmas Past, fuck that. The Ghost of Christmas Past isn't really meant to be spooky. And they're not supposed to be good or bad. They're there as a stand-in for your past. And anybody's past is going to be full of beauty and sadness.
That's very true.
And so when
she feels very much like a therapist.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's very much like any good therapist. Let's go look at your childhood.
And Scrooge's upbringing was traumatic.
Yeah, he did suffer from trauma. Absolutely.
Like
the feeling abandoned by his father,
terribly abused by his father, and sent away, and was only brought back as an adult.
Yeah,
almost.
So he didn't really experience the warmth of human kindness.
Yeah, and you see that he never really connected with anybody at his school.
Yeah,
he didn't have friends.
It was like his sister.
Yeah,
and then Isabel.
So we see, the sad little boy. And then the next scene is Fezziwig.
Yeah, we get to Fezziwig, yeah. And December the 25th. We finally have another musical number.
Yes, the December the 25th, another musical number.
We do go a while without a musical number, actually.
And the December the 25th.
December the 25th.
The day of the year. December the 25th. And this is where I did have to learn, the Victorian, room dancing.
There is diegetic dancing here.
Yeah, right? It's like modern line dancing.
Not a super dance-heavy musical, but, most of the dancing that's in it makes sense in the story. It's not random breaking out and dancing in the street, except for the ending.
Right. Interestingly, this is also one of the only depictions of Fezziwig where he is missing one very obvious article of clothing. A wig.
I was wondering why he was bald.
Yeah, I've never seen an iteration of Fezziwig not wearing a wig.
Yeah, literally, it's in the title.
In every other version of the story, and I believe in the book as well, he wears a wig. Hence the name.
Fezziwig.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. I just have one note. Fezziwig is a mensch.
Yeah, no, Fezziwig's awesome.
He just seems like...
And
and Scrooge makes a point of mentioning that, he's like, well, he had the ability to make our lives wonderful or terrible, and...
Because the ghost is he only spent a few pounds of your mortal money.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, and it was just the time and the effort.
And even Scrooge says money has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a realization point. And then that sparks him to think, oh, there was boys caroling at my door. I should have given them something.
Yeah.
So this is where Scrooge, it's the first connection that Scrooge makes.
Yeah, he's starting to put some dots together.
Yes. Yeah. And because the time in his life that he spent clerking for Fezziwig was fantastic. He had such fun.
Yeah. And that's where he meets his fiance.
Yes, the person who is to be his fiance, which is Fezziwig's daughter, Belle. In the book, I don't believe she's actually Fezziwig's daughter.
Yeah, I feel like that's not always the case. But there's this whole number, You and Happiness, the two songs. Also, Rick Hughes does a lot of counterpoint.
He does.
He'll introduce a song and then introduce another song that's the counterpoint to that song.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And he did it with
Father
Christmas Children.
Christmas
With
and-
what I was saying with Christmas Children and I Hate People.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, Christmas Children and I Hate People, but then also I Hate People and Father Christmas. Because those were very close together and then counterpoint to each other. And then he does it again later as well.
It's comparing and contrasting.
Yeah. But this is, I don't know. I think that You and Happiness is actually really kind of haunting.
It is, and it's supposed to be. It's the great loss of his life, his one great regret.
And like, because we're looking back on it from the future, and they even mirror this in the writing, that like Happiness is a very sad sounding song.
Yeah.
Because we know that it doesn't actually work out for them.
Well, and I've always
because
enjoyed...
Happiness is her singing.
I've always enjoyed the speech that she gave about how if you weigh me by value, I really am worth very little.
Oh, I know.
And she throws the wedding ring on the scale along with 2 pounds, and the 2 pounds are heavier.
Yeah, that was really well. Like her acting choices are very good.
And she, you'll be sad for a little while, but then you'll move on. And he never did.
He never did. And so, obviously, if you are familiar with the story, they have a love affair, and he's engaged to her, but then eventually she breaks up with him because he's just obsessed with money.
He becomes obsessed with money. And again in the book, she goes on to be happily married.
Yeah, and in the book, they actually see her happily married.
Yes.
And they don't hear, and I feel like it would have been really impactful. I'm missing that scene, actually. I wish that they would have included that. They could have cut some little kids singing to put that in,
Yeah, and he's very, very, like, it is a very poignant scene.
It's a moment where I wish he might be a little bit stronger of a singer, but very well performed nonetheless with the instrument he has.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
He sounds like an old man.
I was very lucky to be cast with a very, very effective Scrooge.
Yeah, when you hear someone actually sing Scrooge well, it kind of ruins it for you a little bit.
You was really well done. It was a really well done production.
Yeah.
Props to the director. His name's Natalie Burkhart. If you happen to be in the DFW area, if you can see a show directed by Natalie Burkhart, she's very good. So he wakes up after that.
Yeah, and then we get the disco door.
Yes, the disco door.
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And that's pretty much his reaction. It's
okay.
Before we get into this, do you want to take one more break?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
That's why I thought we were both in the same. Before we move to the next stave.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, hopefully these breaks will eventually have commercials in them. Not because we like commercials, but because we like money.
We are capitalist chill. No,
No ethical consumption under capitalism. Anyway, bye. And we're back.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your break. If you took one.
Yeah.
If you also skipped ahead, that's fine too.
Yeah, we're big fans of that. So now we get to meet the other character that I got to play, and this one was just so much fun. I got to play the Ghost of Christmas Present. It was a very special role to me because again I grew up with this movie. This is another one of the fantastic musical numbers of the show, and this character is supposed to be depicted as a giant. And as we said, I'm 6'5", so I towered above everyone there. I got to wear a big fake beard, a big fake mustache, which is really funny because this is the only role that I played post-transition.
Yeah.
So this is the last role that I played on stage. Up until the present day, I haven't really been back on stage since, other than to do a lot of MC work for some local events, but this was a lot of fun because it's a rollicking bass tune, and it's very upbeat, very fun.
It occurs to me that like if someone were to do a modern version of this, I would love to see like the ghosts be very like gender non-conforming.
Yeah, well, and generally they are.
Yeah, but I would like a more obvious modern expression of that. You know what I mean?
Although the Ghost of Christmas Present has always been a beardy boy, a beardy boy.
But could you imagine like a beardy, full-faced drag queen?
I think it would work.
It would work so fucking well.
Yeah, I think that would actually really work, which is more or less what I was doing.
Well, yeah, and like honestly, like there really wasn't an expression of that at the time in the 70s, but like I think that a full glam beat with a big beard, I think that would be great.
Yeah. And so Scrooge gets the milk of human kindness, which makes him just high as balls, and it's really funny.
We're gonna get fucked up, little man.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's like.
Now, Scrooge, repeat after me.
Yeah.
I like life.
I like
life. Good. Oh my god, it's so much fun.
And this is the counterpoint to I hate people.
Yes.
It's and I haven't looked it up, but I think it's like in the same key. Musically, the two songs sound very similar.
Yes. I like life. Life hates me. Life and I really fully agree. Till I die. Life and I. Yeah. No, it's great. So
yeah, this was the song you did. You know this number very well.
Yes, I know this song backwards and forwards, and I know how to do it while dancing.
I made a note here that buzzed flying is drunk flying, and that they were flying blitzed.
And instead of going out through the open window like they do, they go straight through it after this musical number, and it's great. The fun fact about this actor is obviously like I said, I'm 6'5". The Ghost of Christmas Present is supposed to be a giant. He's described as a giant in the book. And he appears on this giant pile of food, holding a horn of plenty that he pours the milk of human kindness out and makes everyone drunk on love. The actor was only 5'7".
I love this.
And so the actor was shorter than Scrooge. So they had him on 12-inch lifts. And you can see when he's walking, you can see him taking like long, giant steps. And he's obviously like walking on almost stilts.
It's crazy.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
And it's great. So they do this whole thing. They have a great drunken time. They go flying through the air and singing. And then they go flying into a snowbank.
And
Scrooge is sober.
Sobers up real fast.
Well, because he lands in a snowbank with a giant on top
He's
of
like,
him.
what the fuck happened to me? It's the last
you
time
use another one of them drinks.
It's like the last time I leave my drink unattended at Burning Man.
Yeah. Never been dosed at a burn.
Okay, it was just a line.
Been dosed at a goth club.
Yeah.
And a gay club.
And a punk bar.
I did get dosed at a punk
a
punk bar. That was more of a gift than anything because they dosed me with LSD and
that was a gift for you.
I had a great time.
My sober ass turned him hold the phone. So they land in a snowdrift. And
he's like, for now, I think it's better that you see things as they really are.
Oh, yes, because they're visiting the Cratchits.
The home of the Cratchits. This is another great, where a lot of great Dickens lines come in to the show. You see...
Character that I would want to probably play.
Yes, Ethel Cratchit.
Yeah. Also doesn't have any songs, but I enjoy her oeuvre.
Yeah.
In general, she's just like, I would tell that man to fuck right off to his face. Like, and I love that about her.
Yeah, well, and... This scene is very much about, Bob Cratchit's home life.
Yeah, his adorable family and, like, his punch he's made and their little goose. And it's like, do we put the goose, the stuffing in the goose or the goose in the stuffing?
And seeing as the purpose is to put them both inside ourselves, I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and, like, it's a very loving home. And then we're introduced to Tiny Tim.
And in the book, Martha is a big thing. Martha is the oldest of the Cratchit children.
Oh.
And Martha has been sent away to work.
Oh, I did know this because I've seen other versions with Martha, and she's not even referenced in this one.
Yes. And Martha comes home for Christmas.
Yeah, but not in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did make a note that the Cratchits model a healthy disagreement in front of their children.
Yeah.
Which I was impressed with, Like, Bob Cratchit wants to toast Scrooge, and Mrs. Cratchit is like, get fucked. We're not doing that. And they discuss it. They obviously she doesn't say get fucked, but... they have a discussion about it and they finally compromise on it. And she toasts Scrooge, just because he's a human being. It gives, I don't know, I get it. Like, her sentiment, not being able to, have any empathy for this man that's fucking them over. I go on social media right now and we're all Ethel Cratchit.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
In other versions of this, like I said, in the specifically in the Patrick Stewart version, which is probably my favorite non-singing, iteration of
It
this.
hews really close to the book, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And at this point, the ghost takes him and flies him around, and they see Christmas happening in all the different places around the world.
Oh, wait. We forgot a line. Decrease the surplus population happens in this scene with the Cratchits.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's worried about Tiny Tim's.
No, I'm getting back there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, so we get a song from Tiny Tim, which I don't like. I don't like the
Me
song.
neither.
Sorry.
It's another singing.
If my wish could be.
He's not as bad as the kid from The Music Man.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. He's
a decent
bad.
singer. It's just an annoying song, and he really hits that
I
SH.
hate the storytelling device where it's like, let's have a precious little kid sing, and I'm like, how about no, Scott? No, like, always come true. Beautiful Christmas winter's morning. I'm like,
if my wish could come true somehow, that this beautiful day that I dream about could be here and now. So
it kills the momentum.
So Scrooge says, "Will Tiny Tim live?"
Yeah.
And the spirit says, "I see an empty crutch and a chair by the corner." The ghost is like, "What does it matter to you? If he is going to die, then he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population." And that one was a fun line for me to read. Because I just got it. You're reading Scrooge for filth.
Yeah, which is why he needs to be.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that would be great. We move on to
Other Christmases.
Harry's party.
Yes, Scrooge needs to re-up on that milk of humankind.
Yes, Scrooge gets drunk again.
Yes, and then they play the Minister's Cat.
Yes, which is the same music as December the 25th. So it calls him back. It calls Scrooge back because Scrooge recognizes the music.
Tune, yep.
And they play Minister's Cat, which is obnoxious. It's an obnoxious song, and I hated it. I hated it on stage because it's annoying.
The Minister's Cat is an awful song.
Yes.
You have to say another A.
The Minister's Cat is an asshole song.
The Minister's Cat is an absolute song.
The Minister's Cat is an acrimonious song.
Oh, wow, I don't know. The Minister's Cat is an abolished song.
The Minister's Cat is an... I'm out.
Oh, I got one. The Minister's Cat's an acrimonious song. Did you say that already?
I already said that.
Oh, fuck. See, I didn't even lose, and I tried to make myself lose anyways. Can you cut that part out?
We'll see. Maybe.
It's a big pop for you to see now. You're gonna do it back.
How dare you?
You're gonna do it back and edit this out later, and you'll be like, that bitch. How dare.
So yeah, that happens, and I love there's a great line here where Harry loses the game, and Scrooge is like, he's stupid. He's always been stupid.
Yeah.
That was always a big line in my family. Now, let's see. Right, so then we leave.
Yeah, there's really... I wanted more Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yeah, it is remarkably a short scene in the movie. One of the big things that this is one of the most significant cuts that they made in the story, which I actually do have a problem with.
Same.
In that, in the book, famously, at the very end of the scene with the Ghost of Christmas Present, Scrooge says, "What is that claw?" So for one thing, throughout the scene, the ghost ages.
Yeah, and it's not really...
It's not done.
Which is crazy because they spent so much effort in aging Finny. Like, I was waiting for the ghost to get older.
So the
Christmas that they're experiencing is waning.
Yes, so each Ghost of Christmas dies at the end of Christmas.
And then we have a brand new one next year. It's a totally new creature.
Yes.
Spirit, yeah.
And he asks, "What is that claw that's sticking out of your robe?" And he pulls back his robe, and there are two skeletal children. He says, "The girl is want and the boy is ignorance. Fear them both, but fear the boy most of all." And I think that's a really powerful message.
Dickens was a big advocate for education.
Yes.
And education being a way to alleviate poverty.
And I think if there's anything that we've learned in the last 5 years in America, it's that the enemy of progress is ignorance.
Yeah.
If we look at the COVID times, if we look at the hatred and bigotry that's rife in this country, it's all resulted from ignorance. If people would educate themselves in real science and real facts, then they would have to be a lot more.
An uneducated populace is an easier populace to fuck over.
Which is why certain parties, and again, we're not political, so I'm not going to say name which ones, certain parties are really big fans of defunding the education system.
A Christmas Carol, I think, is so universal because it speaks to these big societal concerns that we have had for generations. And I think that by removing, because aren't there also scenes where they look at other people's Christmases that Scrooge has never seen, like
yeah,
other poor
there
people
are in
or
other
homeless
depictions
people
of the
too?
movie. I don't know if that's in the book or not.
I do believe in the book that they look at more than just the people that he knows, because it's
Yes,
easy to feel.
They look at one in a prison. They look at one in
It's
the White
easy
House.
to feel empathy. Even if you're trying to feel empathy for the first time, it's way easier to feel empathy for people that you're connected to. But I think that Dickens takes the point of going, this is what everyone's Christmas is like. Those two guys that you didn't want to donate money to, this is the people that are being impacted by this. And I think that by removing that, it turns this musical from being a larger societal commentary into just an individual story about one guy.
Yeah, and that's
I feel
really
like
think
it
that's
suffers
true.
for it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I can't emphasize enough how important education is from a young age. Here in this country right now, illiteracy rates are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Which, it is 2024. There is no reason that children should not know how to read.
Well, we're obviously not that kind of podcast, but I mean, there's a lot to be said for the impact of COVID on educational development and how it put people back. And, it's definitely something where we have suffered a collective trauma as a society because of what happened during COVID, and just the subsequent decades will be about trying to get back to square.
Yeah.
It's just going to be weird for a while. We thought that, everything would open back up and go back to normal, but that's not how that works when everybody's traumatized. Yeah. Everybody reacts differently to it. But yeah, I wanted more Christmas presents. It's my favorite part, I think, of the story is that character. Even the even the sad parts, because I think that's important too. But it's over, and then he goes back to sleep.
No.
No?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he just shows up. He doesn't go back to sleep.
No.
Okay.
He ends up back in front of his house, and at least I think this is what happens in this version. But he just turns, and the ghost of Christmas yet
I
to
remember
come is there.
He makes himself very low physically to the ground when he arrives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do recall that.
So yeah, that is the end of the Ghost of Christmas present scene.
It's the third stave of Dickens' book.
Yeah, so now we are going to move into the part of the movie that is, again, the farther we go into this movie, the more vastly we are starting to differ from Dickens' story.
we really diverge a bit here.
We're going into this part where we are going to be taking some liberties, folks.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's okay. For more on that, stay with us after these messages that aren't really messages. And we're back. And we have eggnog.
This is very eggnog.
Yes. We got some free samples of the Southern Comfort eggnog last night that I managed to leverage into getting us two whole cartons of it. You got your own carton, but I was the first one to discover that you could get a carton if you were
Apparently
nice.
They had overbrought for the samples.
Yeah, so they were giving out whole cartons by the end of the night. Anyway, that
eggnog, which is basically liquid ice cream.
Yep. Which has nothing to do with the Ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Mm-mm. Although I imagine if you drank a ton of eggnog, that Christmas might come faster, the last one. Fewer Christmases yet to come.
The Ghost of Christmas yet to come is always depicted as a Reaper type. thing.
Yeah.
You know, very hooded.
This one doesn't have a face. It's like a cloth face.
Yeah, well, not yet. It does later.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But this launches into inarguably the best musical number in the entire show.
In my head, Leslie said, you know what? I have a song I want to do. And it's got someone tap dancing on a coffin. So what musical do I need to write to have this somebody tap dancing on a coffin?
Yeah.
And the Scrooge was born. That's in my head how this musical was conceptualized.
Like, I got to be the person that does dance on the coffin. The musical's number is led by Tom Jenkins, the Hot Soup Man, and is sung by everyone that owes Scrooge money.
Yeah, and there is like this. So they kind of, and it's done in every version of A Christmas Carol, where Scrooge isn't aware why everybody. So Scrooge isn't aware why everyone is celebrating. Right. He just knows everyone.
He never sees the coffin.
He doesn't see the coffin. And I made a note here that I thought this was very well directed because it's very visually obvious to the audience that Scrooge is not aware of what's going on without us actually being told this.
Right.
So I think it's very good direction on that front. But
and I'm going to try not to launch into singing all of the lyrics here because I do know all the lyrics to this song, and it's fun, and it's a fun song. It's fun to sing. It was a fun number to do. It's a fun number to watch.
So what does Tom do? He has so walk us through it.
The scene opens on the steps of Scrooge and Marley, and you see Tom buffing the sign, goes in and grabs Scrooge's letterbox, and this is Scrooge has just died.
Yeah.
And
Scrooge does not notice them bring the coffin out.
Yeah, so he's like he's extolling the virtues of Scrooge. He's like, on behalf of all the people who've assembled here, I'm going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. I'd merely like to mention, if I may,
you may,
that our unanimous attitude is one of lasting gratitude for what our friend has done for us today. And therefore, I'd simply like to say, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. No, and it's a great song, and they dance.
The wordplay is great.
Yeah.
Like, everything that's good about all the other numbers is, like, cranked up to 11 on this song.
I may sound double Dutch, but lie me like me such. I feel as if I don't lost begun for. Oh my god, it's so great. And it's just like that rhythm. They even managed to work
How's Your Father into the song. I don't know what that means, but they work it into it somehow.
But it's like, it's the beat is and they go marching through the entire great like poor side of London.
This number would not be out of place in like The Music Man.
Yeah, no,
it's a random Music Man song that found its way into this musical.
And it's this number that made us think of the current situation.
Yeah, like that was the thing that really came to mind. Is it's just kind of like, without context, if you watch Scrooge, you're like, people wouldn't tap dance on this man's coffin and sing about his death, even if they didn't like him. But that's literally what's happening.
Yeah,
like,
there's literally...
United Healthcare made a post about this man's death, and there was like over 70,000 laugh reacts on it.
No.
It's
up to like 95 or 100,000 laugh reacts.
So like 100,000 people are literally on Facebook laugh reacting some guy's death. And I'm like, if you were ever wondering if people would actually tap dance on someone's coffin if they actually owed somebody money, they fucking would.
And now there's literally, I think it's charted, actually, the kid that made a folk song about this.
Yeah.
You know, so like people are literally writing songs and would be tap dancing on this man's coffin if they could. It's wild.
There was a and if you're listening to this in the future, there was a look-alike contest for the shooter.
Yeah. And in case anybody didn't notice, we were talking about the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO.
Oh yeah, we haven't been like super obvious about it because if this is being listened to in the future, yeah.
We're dancing around this a little bit.
This is incredibly topical. It happened like this week. So for us, in case you're curious, when we recorded. Yeah, like people are literally thank you very muching. And it's like, in this, you know, you're like, well, at least they're directly benefiting from it. So I can understand their celebration. But people aren't actually directly benefiting from this man's death. They're just happy that somebody who has fucked people over bit it. And this song is a celebration of somebody who sucks dying.
So the fascinating thing about this
it's like the wicked, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
No one mourns the wicked.
Or ding dong, the witch is dead.
The really interesting thing about this scene from a historical perspective is that it's not like this debt would have been forgiven.
Yeah.
The debt would not have been forgiven. It would have been transferred to another moneylender. But because of Scrooge's unfair lending practices and him charging the exorbitant rates that he did, the highest rates that were allowed, them being transferred to another moneylender meant that the rates would have at least been fair. And that's what they're celebrating.
Yeah, maybe they will stop using AI to deny, Medicare patients' claims at 90% rates.
Yeah. I can't tell you, like, this musical number is a bop. The guy who plays Tom Jenkins is just oozes charisma. He's just got charisma coming out of his pores.
They're in the middle of the number. This lady is like, I'm trying to get my baby to sleep. And then they're like, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's really funny, I think. There's even a quiet whispered part because of a diegetic baby crying. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I really liked it. And then they worked in How's Your Father? What does that mean?
It has something to do with sex. I don't know.
I know it sounds British. Wrong. I know Austin Powers said it, so like.
I think it's sex. I don't know.
How's your father? Am I gonna regret searching this? A bit of How's Your Father is an idiom meaning sexy time, sexual intercourse, or other sexual activity.
Yes. So to add a bit of sexy touch.
Why would you put that in there? That's so funny.
But so they do that, and then we go and we see, Bob Cratchit's family. We see the Crutch sitting alone in the corner. We see Bob Cratchit crying over Tiny Tim's grave.
We hear yet again, even though he's dead, Tiny Tim singing still. Sorry. We can't escape it. We go from the peak of the musical to what a beautiful Christmas. I'm dead and singing anyways. It's like thanks.
And once again, they cut a major scene out from the book, which is the scene where all of his servants are.
Yeah, they sell his shit off.
They pawn his stuff.
Yeah,
more or less. They sell it to a guy who's what's called a rag and bone man.
Mm-hmm.
Which literally is meant to sell off stuff from poor people's estates.
Like his curtains, like they sell his
curtains.
Bed curtains. Bed curtains they sell off.
Yeah, they sell his sheets and his bed curtains.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild. And the Undertaker sells his cufflinks and his shirt.
Oh,
that he was buried in.
You should have a death plan.
Yeah, have a death plan.
Have a death plan.
Thanks, Caitlin Doherty.
Ask a mortician. Make sure you make a death plan, especially if you're queer.
If you haven't seen Ask a Mortician, by the way, it's a fantastic YouTube show. Check it out. It's under Caitlin Doherty's channel. And just start to type it in. It'll pop up, I promise.
Yeah, she talks about how you have to make a death plan, which as queer people is really important. Like, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be buried? This is how someone doesn't sell your shirt.
Yes.
And your cufflinks to the rag and bone man.
But anyway, so now we find ourselves in the graveyard, and
we see Scrooge's grave.
Yeah, and he's like, who is this person that they're talking about?
Yeah, he's like, oh, who's this? Yeah, and we don't get the scene where they're talking shit about him.
Yes.
Because normally we would get the scene where they're talking shit about him, and he still doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't get the scene where the bankers won't go to his funeral unless there's going to be lunch provided. We don't have that scene either.
And in the book, the gravestone says, here lies Ebenezer Scrooge, populated by one and all. In this...
Yeah.
Here comes the real wild departure.
This is a very Christian reading of this.
Because he falls in, so he sees the grave, and the ghost of Christmas Present is revealed to be this scary skeleton dude. Yeah, and Scrooge falls into the grave straight to hell.
Yeah, he lands in hell. And there's no one in hell except for Marley. He doesn't run any demons or anything.
Except for the people that are carrying the chain.
Yeah, but the YMCA chain guys. But he,
what?
They're very, I don't know. We'll get there. I'll explain. But he touches a wall. He touches some stalagmites, and he's like,
Are you sure they weren't stalactites?
No, because they were on the ground. Stalactites are from the ceiling, and stalagmites are from the bottom.
Yes, I'm kidding. Just harassing you.
What else is new? But yeah, he touches a rock fixture and he's like, burn me. Burns is precious. And then Marley shows up and he's just like, oh, Lucifer has taken a special interest in you. Going to very much be like your
They
situation with Bob Cratchit.
They had to take extra devils on at the foundry to finish
make
your chain.
And then like all of these like sweaty, shirtless men, like they're all very
Like oiled
shirtless men with black masks on and chains.
Very BDSM.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was like, ooh, this is gonna get sexy.
like a bunch of bears.
Here's a little how's your father touch.
Yeah, a bunch of bears show up and cover Scrooge in chains and tie him to his desk and his cold office in hell.
And because he's chained to a clerk's desk.
Yeah, in hell. And Marley's like, oh, toodaloo. And he's just like, no. And then he wakes up and he's like...
He's being like, he called it Keith Carradining himself off of his bedclothes.
We cut back to Scrooge, who was David Carradining himself with his sheets.
I'm sorry, I said his father.
Oh, I was like, who's Keith? I don't know. Oh, hello, lady.
Yes, Keith Carradine was David Carradine's father. He was in the Kung Fu movies.
Oh, no shit. That's cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, so that's a big derivation. Derivation. That's the word, right?
I think so.
Like
Divergence?
Divergence? It's fucking different.
Yeah.
It's fucking different. Thank you very, very, very much. I like more subtle interpretations of this, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely a bit on the nose.
I think it like...
And that is not what happens in the book.
No.
That is not what happens in the book. In the book, he sees the grave and wakes up.
Yeah, like, I like the book because regardless of what your religious beliefs are, the idea of dying and nobody giving a fuck about you or your death, and people celebrating your death, is scary even if you don't believe in a heaven. No. Like, if you believe in a heaven and hell, like, I feel like death is different. Death is equally scary for everybody, regardless of what's going to happen afterwards, because we don't know what's going to happen, right? It's this big unknown. All we do know is that we hopefully develop these relationships with people that carry us forward. Yeah. You know, that we're remembered. That, you know, people light a candle for us or look at pictures of us fondly, or that, you know, the legacy we leave behind makes people happy and sparks joy, that they miss us. And I think that ending is a much better ending. I hate this stupid schlocky, the devil's made your chain. Scrooge has already created his own kind of hell he lives in. Mm-hmm. And this is like my thesis on it. Scrooge's life...
For what it's worth, I tend to agree with you on this. So.
Scrooge's life is completely turned around, and the only thing that's changed is his perspective.
Yes.
We create our own heaven and hell here on Earth, and that's what Dickens' story is about to me, is that you change your perception of things, you change your perspective, you change your actions, and you learn live it.
You learn gratitude, and you learn empathy.
Yes. And, you know, he was running and hiding from his past. He was burying himself in work, trying to make a meaning out of life. And he was doing it all wrong.
Yes. And he thought that money was what was going to give him meaning in life. But money is not something that follows with you. What follows with you into death is the relationships that you have.
Yeah. How you're remembered. Because once you're gone...
And the way you treat other people. Because
you can't take this with you.
Because guilt is a weight in and of itself. And you cannot escape that.
Yeah, and you can't take your money with you.
No.
You know, he can't take his fucking emotional support money with him.
No.
You know, so it's over, that part of it, and he wakes up.
Yeah, and then you see him running around his room. I'm as giddy as a schoolboy. I'm as light as a cloud.
And this is where
throwing shit up in the air.
His
and it's
physicality
fun.
Changes too.
Yeah. Oh, and it's great. This is a great acting moment from Finney.
Definitely post Hell Scrooge is very different, and you can even see it in how he walks and carries himself and in his body and everything too. Yeah, we get Begin Again. It's solid. It is the one place in the musical where I wish Albert Finney could sing, because this song is
able to begin.
Yeah, it's like what's the number in Carousel? No One Walks Alone.
Yeah,
it's that
You'll
level.
Never Walk Alone.
You'll Never Walk Alone, or like what? There's another one, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Like, it's very that kind of song. Like, it's very inspirational, looking towards the future.
It's supposed to be soaring.
It's supposed to be soaring, and Finney does not have the pipes to make it soaring like it needs to be.
That being said, though, I think Finney does a great job with his characterization of it. He
Agree.
is a fantastic actor. He's always been a great actor. He does everything right on this. We get into Scrooge's weird interactions with children.
Yeah, he's weird. Like, and I think that the he goes to hell kind of cheapens all of what happens afterwards, because I always feel like if you decide to be a good person because you're scared of hell, did you really decide to be a good person for the right reason?
Right.
And, if he had decided to be a good person simply because he wanted to have an impact on people's lives in a positive way, I think it would be different than the demons made a long chain for me and I don't want that. So I feel like by having it be so on the nose, it kind of makes these subsequent interactions feel a little weird for me.
I don't know if that's the reason why.
Yeah. But yeah, he loves what a beautiful child, what a precious child. The sun shines out of your asshole. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear a shitty Christmas carol right now.
What?
Like,
Oh.
thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, we go through and now we go back into versions of the other songs where
Call back
like
to everything, yeah.
we call back to every single song where Scrooge is leading a procession of these kids through the
Unironically singing Father Christmas.
Yes, and they go through Father Christmas. They go through,
if you
thank
haven't,
you very much.
if you're not familiar with the story, he buys the prize turkey for
and a whole bunch of toys.
Yeah, he picks out all the toys. And he pays everybody money to deliver them, and
yeah. So they go to Cratchit's house,
and he dresses up as Santa.
Yes, and they do Father Christmas when he finds the Father Christmas outfit. They sing Father Christmas again, and the lyrics are all different.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's a reprise, and it's
good
great.
Bookending.
It's good stuff. Yeah. No, Father Christmas is great. So they arrive at the Cratchit's house, and he brings all of these toys to the Cratchit kids. And
did you steal it?
No, I didn't steal it. And
I feel like "Did you steal it's in multiple versions of this.
He's like, you still don't recognize me, do you, Bob Cratchit? And he's like, no, you're Father Christmas.
Yeah.
And he pops the beard down, and his wife goes, "Wah!"
Yeah, Ethel Cratchit is the only sane reaction. Like, I would be worried that this man had a mental break if this happened. So
yeah, and he doubles Cratchit's salary, and says he's going to take care of Tiny Tim. And he gives the kids gifts, and then pretends like he's going to walk out, and then gives Tiny Tim the biggest of the
carousel,
gifts.
Yeah.
And then you see you see Tom Jenkins and the two Scottish ladies looking in through the window.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and forgives every single debt that's owed to him.
Yes. Yeah.
And doesn't transfer it, forgives it.
And then we get into thank you very much for real.
Yes. And then they go into real thank you very much, is where some of the only non-diegetic dancing in the show happens, and people just start dancing, and like there's dancing. It's kind of diegetic.
Yeah, I mean, if all of my debt was forgiven, if they were like, you don't own anything on your mortgage, I probably would start dancing in the middle of a Target.
Yeah, and then so there's some really cool people. You get like the super groovy aerobic handbell choir.
Oh my god, the handbell choir slaps. Yeah.
And then jumping around and doing shit.
Yeah.
And then you get the pipers who are like...
The pipers were like your favorite. And then we see the Punch and Judy guy.
Yep.
Yeah. At some point he runs into his nephew and his nephew's wife.
Yeah.
And they
Christmas night, oh, you're such a pretty girl.
And then the belated wedding gift. And,
yeah.
Oh, such a pretty girl.
Christmas lunch, sharp at 3.
Oh, thank you, Scrooge.
And yeah, no, they it ends. That's the end of the show.
At the very end, I do like the very end because he takes off his Father Christmas hat and his beard and he puts it on the knocker and he tells Marley, wherever he is,
you're gonna see the change.
That I'm gonna do right by you, kid. And then he opens the door and closes it behind him, and we see the same knocker from the very beginning of the movie.
And it says Merry Christmas.
Yeah, with the Christmas hat and beard.
And then that's the end of the show.
That's Scrooge.
And this is the 1970s Scrooge, and it's not a perfect musical.
No, but not by any stretch.
No, it's not. But it is one of my favorite movie musicals. I had to assess if I only like it because I was in it and because of nostalgia glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that that's true. I do genuinely enjoy this musical. I really, really do enjoy it. It might not have the strongest scores, which is what we're about to go into.
Yeah.
But my final thoughts on it are that I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's honestly why you watch something, right?
Yeah.
You watch something because it sparks joy, not
Yeah.
because it's the best, of this or that or that. Like I really like the Bill Murray version of Scrooge, and that was lampooned at the time for not being a very good version of it.
Yeah. And this one
So
did actually
win an Academy, at
win
least
an
one
Academy
Academy.
Awards.
Yeah, they won Academy Awards. So yeah, let's go and do our final questions.
Great.
Hello, we're back with our ratings for Scrooge. First off, does this movie pass the Bechdel test?
Yeah.
The
No.
two ladies talk. The two Scottish ladies
Not
talk
to each other.
Not to each other. Okay, then no. So it does not pass the Bechdel test.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, because no.
Yeah.
Women. I don't even think women talk to each other about a man. They just don't talk at all.
Yeah, there's not a lot of lines for women in this.
Yeah, not really. Okay, who would you want to play?
I've played the two roles that I would want to play in this.
Yeah. So for you, Tom Jenkins.
It's Tom Jenkins in the Ghost of Christmas Present, and I've played them both, and I got to say they're just as fun to play as I thought they would be.
I feel like Ethel Cratchit probably would be the one I'd want to play,
Yeah.
or like maybe the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah, I think you could pull that off.
Yeah, I think
they don't have a musical number.
I know, like but
they do in the stage play.
And like, yeah, it's kind of I've heard the number. It's very like sad, and then it's revealed that the ghost is his sister or whatever.
I should hope you've heard the number. You saw me in it enough.
I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah, I think you've probably seen it live like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, I know. I'm painfully aware of this musical. Okay, your standout extra award. I think the Pipers. Is that who you were going to give it to?
I like the Pipers. I also really like the Scottish ladies.
Scottish ladies are pretty awesome. I'm going to give it to the guy who gets I Hate People sung into his ear sexily. I don't know. There's the familiarity with which Albert Finney touched this man on the shoulder and sang into his ear. I got to give him something for that.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Favorite musical number?
It's Thank You Very Much.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's not a choice. It's Thank You Very Much.
I also really do like I Like Life, but Thank You Very Much is such a fantastic. And I Hate People is also good. It's a tough choice between I Hate People and Thank You Very Much, but I think I'm going to go with Thank You Very Much.
It's Thank You Very Much for
conceptually
me.
Seeing somebody dance on
Watching
a coffin.
Tom Jenkins drop to his knees and tap hands on the coffin.
And just kiss it.
Mwah, like, it's, chef's kiss. Okay. Final thoughts on the show itself.
Like I said, this one is nostalgic for me. Because again, I've watched this every year for all of my 37 years.
Yeah, and the story is timeless.
Yeah,
you could set this story in any time.
Again, some of the casting choices were weird, and there were some serious departures from the book. But all things told, I'm not going to be able to say that I don't love this musical. I love this musical. It holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, I could see that.
What about you?
You know what? It's a solid Christmas musical. Is it the best version of A Christmas Carol? Probably not. Is it a good version of A Christmas Carol? Yes, it is. If all you do is watch this for the tap dancing on Scrooge's coffin and Thank You Very Much, I think it's worth watching.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so let's rate the singing.
The singing's okay. I mean, there's no
real impressive.
There's no real standout musical performance. I'd give it a 6.
Yeah, I think a 6 is probably reasonable.
And that's not to say it's bad. It's just that there's no real standout like musical performance in this.
Yeah, it's not like Guys and Dolls. It's passable, but none of the singing is memorable.
Yeah, you're not really there for the singing, as odd as that is to say about a musical.
Yeah. What about the acting?
I liked the acting. It's not gonna get like a 10, but I'll give it a solid score. I'll give it like an 8.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Why is that?
It's got a bunch of kids in it. And
you just don't like it. God, you are Scrooge.
I don't know.
The kids are good though.
Okay, let me back this up. I've seen better Fezziwigs.
That's fair.
I've seen better Harrys.
Yeah.
His fiance's good.
Yeah, I understand.
The thing that's struggling is that I'm comparing this to so many fucking adaptations of this that I'm like, even Albert Finney is good. He is not Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've
you're
heard
right.
people sing the role better than him too. So I think a
Yeah.
7 is passable. It is a
Yeah.
passable movie. Okay, sets.
The sets are gorgeous. The sets. I'm gonna give the sets a 9 because they're solid. They're solid Dickensian sets. They look fantastic. There's not anything that pulls me out of the musical at all. I thought the sets were fantastic.
I'm gonna give it. I mean, it's just so drab.
It is drab, but it's Dickensian London.
Yeah, but I feel like I've
Dickensian
seen.
London was drab.
That's true.
Everything was like dingy
I
and,
don't know. They
and
like
coal
were
smoky.
okay, but also one that is like
And plus, the color palette was really more the costumes than the sets.
well, and also yeah, but like back in the fucking Victorian times and okay, like pre-Victorian times, like Dickensian England, like they did have color. Color existed. They had colorful wallpapers. You know,
I
like
mean, I guess. This is
yeah,
Dickensian, though. It's supposed to be bleak.
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's bad, but I can't remember a single set. None of it stands out in my head. Like when I think of like other shows we've seen where we talk about like set pieces, like I can remember this was a really cool set or that looked really neat. It's just fine.
Okay. You do you.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
We have established that you have different opinions and different values when it comes to me. Mine are right, but that's fine.
Okay, so let's see costumes.
It's gonna suffer on the costumes. I didn't care for a lot of the costumes. I've seen it. I've seen them done so much better. There were some nice ones. I do love a good muff. There were some good muffs in this. Don't take that the wrong way. But for a Dickensian period piece, the costumes were a little weak. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm a good like for a Dickensian period costume piece, I'm gonna give it a 6, like maybe a 5.5 even. I really wasn't impressed by the
Okay,
costume.
so pick a number, my love.
5.5.
5.5. Okay, let me give it 5. It's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very
like
drab.
yeah, the whole thing's really drab. Even the Ghost of Christmas Present, we finally get a little bit of color, and it's still he wasn't even that colorful.
Yeah.
His set, like I feel like his set.
If you watch other iterations of it, especially again,
He's supposed to be magical.
I come back to it. The Patrick Stewart version, the costumes were lush and illustrative and beautiful.
And it's not like because we keep comparing it to the Patrick Stewart version, which is a more modern version, but even like period versions of stories set.
I would say
time,
even the Alistair Sim version had better.
Yeah, like we've reviewed musicals that were made before Scrooge that had more bright costuming.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not like it was just because it was the 70s that was the thing to do.
Look at The King and I, or Sound of Music, or any of those. There are so many better. The costumes aren't great.
Yeah, the costumes are great. The sets are okay.
The makeup's fantastic.
Yeah, we don't have a makeup category.
That's true, and I don't think we need one.
No, I'm gonna bump my costumes to a 6 for Albert Finney's age makeup.
Okay.
Because for the 70s.
I'll do the same.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable because of the age makeup thing. They did a very good job on that. And Marley looked good. Okay, musical composition.
8.5.
8.5.
I'm happy with that. It was good. It's not the best in the world, but they're like just for the pure lyricism alone, his agile lyrics and the meter that goes through there. Like this musical has some bops in it. Like this musical has some bangers. What do you think?
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I think an 8 is solid. I think an 8 makes up for the fact that I had to listen to a bunch of kids singing.
Yeah.
Because of Thank You Very Much. And I Hate People and the other one.
And I Like Life.
Yeah, I Like Life. I think that there was some really clever things done with the point counter, like not literal counterpoint, but
the point counterpoint, and then and then again just his
the bookending of the writing, like the fact that they used the music to tell a story was good.
Yeah,
I think an 8's a good score.
And oh man, I can't tell you how much I love the agile lyrics that are in this.
What about the choreography?
It's 6.5, 7 maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it. I mean, it's good for what it is, but there's not a lot of it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 6. 6.5.
I'm gonna give it a 7 because
7 for you.
I'm nicer than
the
you.
handbell choir is good, but there's
and
not
the pipers.
There's not a lot of dancing,
Yeah.
especially when we look at
I'm
other.
gonna give it a 7. Strong 7.
Other shows that are a lot more dance heavy.
Yes.
Okay, what about the plot?
okay, this one it's gonna get penalized.
Because of the changes they made.
Yeah, the hell scene, the hell
Yeah.
scene, and the things that they took out that they could have left in.
Yeah.
The lack of ignorance and want.
Not seeing other people's Christmases.
Yes, not seeing other people's Christmases.
Selling off
Yes,
Scrooge's
not seeing the
things.
rag and bone man, and the hell scene. Oh God, the hell scene.
It's pretty bad.
It's just not. It's not great.
Uh-uh.
It's going to take a big knock on what should be a great story. I'm going to give it a 5. And again, I love this musical, but I got to be real. Sometimes you like trash.
Wow.
I was a big fan of Batman Forever.
You know, a 5's actually not a bad score for me. So I'm gonna give it a 5 because of the change. I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I was just looking, and I've given multiple 2s this season for plot. I'm like,
That's because you're harsh.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the name. It is the name of the show.
This is true. I'm delivering. No overpromising, and I'm delivering here. I hate musicals. Okay. What would you give this production overall?
8.5.
Pick one.
8.5.
8.5. Okay, cool. So please select one single number. What have I been given for overall scores?
Why do you always look backwards?
Because
I go instinctually.
No, I don't know. Because like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it helps me kind of gauge it versus other things I've seen. Like I go, okay, how much do I like this? Well, how much did I like, The Music Man, or how much did I like Oklahoma?
Oh, I just go by instinct.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 7. It passes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't hate it as much as I hate other things. There are definitely parts where I check my phone. But as far as the movies that, one is required to watch every year for Christmas, this one's not a terrible one.
Yeah.
I would say what they do well outweighs what is done badly. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect by any stretch. Is it better live? Yeah. I think the live show is better than the movie. But is the movie on YouTube for free so you could go look it up and watch it yourself with your family if you wanted to?
Absolutely, it's not. It is not on YouTube for free. You absolutely cannot go into YouTube and put Scrooge 1970 in the search bar and have it pop up for free. That's not a thing that's going to happen.
No. And you should try it to confirm this for yourself.
Try it for yourself. Yeah. See if it happens. It's not going to, but you should try it.
Yeah, and that's all I have to say on that one.
The same could be said for the Patrick Stewart version.
Oh, I did not realize that you could also not find the Patrick Stewart version on YouTube for
if you were to put it into the search bar and hit enter and try it for yourself, but you're not going to find it on there.
Yeah. So, if you're just curious about Christmas movies in general, always good to make sure they're not on YouTube first.
Because they're not.
But, final thoughts, anything you want to say for the holiday season?
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. From my family to yours. This has been a wild year, especially for me. I'll go ahead and give my end of the year speech.
Oh, yeah, this is our last episode for the year.
Yeah. So this year I gave up drinking.
Woo!
This month I am 10 months sober.
Huzzah!
Which
this is like our sobriety project together.
It's been a real journey for me, a journey of self-discovery. I've learned a lot about myself. This has been a very painful year for me. I've lost friends. I've lost friends to suicide. I've lost friends to moving away. I've had my car broken into and vandalized multiple times. I had my car stolen this year.
Woo.
This year has been fraught for me.
Yeah, a lot going on.
We've come through it. I survived. I still have the distinct privilege of living my life with the best friend I've ever had.
Oh my God, stop.
And I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. I'm glad to have a creative outlet, and yeah. So this has been a hell of a year, but we've made it through it. We will continue to survive, even though the news might look dour. We're all here in the same fight, and so from my family to yours. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy all the other holidays. Take care of yourselves. Be patient with yourselves. Realize that the holidays are dark, but it's always darkest before the dawn.
And you said this really touching personal thing, and I'm going to crack a joke. But I guess when I think about it, a lot of stuff's going on, and the holidays are tough because we're required to perform joy for other people, for our family, for the little people in our lives. And it can sometimes be kind of hard to feel like the Christmas spirit. And you can kind of get down and be kind of harsh on yourself and judge yourself kind of harshly. But I just want everybody to remember that if something were to happen to you tomorrow, people would not come to laugh react on Facebook in the tens of thousands about it. So that's something that you can take to heart. Go and live your life like you wouldn't want people tap dancing on your grave afterwards.
Absolutely. And so from us at My Wife Hates Musicals, happy holidays, and we'll see you
Next year.
next year.
Happy New Year.
All right. Bye.